Just a quick heads up, this is another manure spreading video. In fact, I'll be completely honest, it happened before the previous manure spreading video. But in this one, I talk a little bit about where our manure comes from, what our hopes for manure is in the future, is manure plural or singular? I don't really know. And I got a flat tire on the 4430, so I'm gonna be taking care of that today. But I just wanted to give you a heads up. Let's get to the video. Hey there, beginning farmer friends. Today we're going to take this 3010 and we're going to use this new idea manure spreader and we're going to try to spread some manure over on the new land. Now the reason I say try is because I've used this spreader before, but when I used it last time I used the 4430. This time I have chains on the 4430. This time I don't have a skid loader to load the manure spreader. That's a story yet to come. And so I hooked it up to the 3010. I've never spread manure with the 3010. We've got a little under a mile drive ahead of us. And we're gonna spread this load of chicken litter out of the brooder and rabbit droppings out of the rabbit colony. I'll tell you a little bit more about the plan when we get over there. So like I said, this is about a mile where we just drove from our farm, from leaving the home farm gate to coming in this farm gate. As the crow flies, the field's only about a quarter mile away. We're maybe half mile away from the gate right now. And there is a closer gate back that way. We drove past it already, but we need to tear out some trees in order to be able to get to use that gate. The plan with this, I wasn't planning on spreading manure today, but since I was going to be cleaning out that building and those two sides of that building, I said instead of putting it on a pile, let's put it on the manure spreader. I don't know, the 3020, we need to dial it in a little bit. So we'll see how well it spreads. It had some difficulty bringing it up the hill. I do have a pretty full load on this, as you can see. I haven't spread with this, so I don't know what speed I want to go, but we're going to do our best. We're going to fling this out there. This is probably some of the best manure that we have on the farm right now with the chicken litter and the rabbit manure. I'll tell you a little bit more about our manure here. Let's get spreading first though. Also, I'm not sure if you can see that, but way over there, there's another farmer spreading something on their field today, which is, you know, not something we're always doing in the middle of February, but it's warm today. It's going to be even warmer next week, although we do have a little bit of snow coming. Alright, that is an entire load spread. That's about the size of load that I've been doing every time that I've come over here and done them, I guess I should say. My question, how did I do? Was I going too fast? Was I going too slow? Was I putting it on too thick? This is the area where I probably put it on the thickest, and I was kind of just doing a little gauge of the thickness. Now this was really damp, really wet, mostly pine shavings with probably a couple bales of straw in it. I also wanted to get an idea of how wide of a spread I'm getting. Now there was a pretty decent, let's see, west wind today. So it's about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 paces is what I was getting as far as width. Most of it, again, blowing from west to east. So same question I asked just a second ago. What do you guys think? How am I doing? What do I need to do different? Here's the crazy thing. We covered maybe, I don't know, maybe a little over a quarter of a mile to get to there. But as we turn around, this is where we finished. And honestly, we weren't putting that much out in the last 100 yards or so. If I turn around, that those big trees right down there, that is the edge of the property towards the sun. So one load doesn't necessarily make it all the way across this farm. I did a little math when I did my first loads with the 4430, which drives a little faster over the road than the 3010 does, and filling that with about 7 skid loader buckets. I think I did between 6 and 7 skid loader buckets. It took about 32 minutes. That was from loading at the farm, driving over here, spreading it, and then getting back to the farm and to be ready to load again. So you can see, to do 10 loads, that's going to take a little over 5 hours. This is the only load that I'm going to do today though. Again, it was just cleaning it out. I do have a question for you. Let me get to a different spot. Let's turn the tractor off and ask a question. Here's my other question though, and that is compaction. Now this has been conventionally farmed here, this 50 acres, for a number of years in a row, and I'm worried about compaction, deep down compaction. Is that something that I should worry about in a mechanical sense, or is that something that I should, you know, say, I'm gonna just tackle this over years of time with roots growing in, earthworms, building organic matter, microorganisms, that kind of thing? Which way is the best way? I do know at some point I'm going to be doing some sort of tillage because it's pretty, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. It's bumpy, okay? And so I do want to be able to do some tillage. Oh my goodness, this wind's picking up. I want to be able to do some tillage so that we can smooth it out for when it is finally permanent pasture. I want it to be, you know, permanently as smooth as possible. Let's go back home, tell you about the manure. There are 3 main places where manure comes from on our farm. One of them is this building right here. On this side, back here, this is where we brood chicks for right now. And on this side right here, this is our winter rabbit colony. This is where the rabbits live in the winter. We have pine shavings or, you know, bedding straw in these 2 buildings. Shovel it out into the manure spreader. That's what I spread today. Place number 2 that the manure comes from is, well, from these cornstalk bales right here that end up in this hoop building right here and then turn into this compost right here. The shed over there where we brood chickens and where we have rabbits, we're always going to have something coming out of there. This hoop house will always have stuff coming out of here, of course, as well, because, well, we're always going to have pigs in here. Not all year long. They live down there in the woods most of the year. But in the winter, we like them up here in the deep bedding where we create this manure. Of course, now that I'm looking at that in there, we don't have cornstalk bales in there right now. Well, there's some underneath. We actually have straw in there right now. But straw, cornstalk bales, that's what we use in there. Finally, the 3rd place that manure comes from on our farm is right here in what we call the winter lot. Now, I've been feeding the sheep and the cattle some alfalfa pellets. So every time I come out here, they think they're getting alfalfa pellets, as you can tell. But we feed big round bales in this winter lot, what we call the winter lot. It's a sacrificial area. Ever since we started the farm, I've been a big guy of saying we need a sacrificial area because it gets muddy on the pastures. We don't want animals on the pastures mucking it up, tearing it up, anything like that. That is some thinking that I would like to change, especially with the new land. I would like to be able to get to a point where we're only using this sacrificial, my goodness, these sheep. This sacrificial area at, you know, a few certain times and a few specific times throughout the year. But other than that, we're foraging stockpiled forages or grazing stockpiled forages out on the pasture or unrolling bales on the pasture. But right now we have 3 round bale feeders and we put out round bales for the cattle and the sheep. And that's basically a pile of stomped on hay and manure that will get spread. So we have quite a few loads of manure to get spread on the new farm. The nice thing is it's going to clean up a lot of piles around here because I didn't have a manure spreader until December or so of 2023. So it'll be nice to get the farm cleaned up. Also, we're going to be adding a lot of nutrients to the farm. So that's my 2 questions for today. One, what about compaction? Mechanical something, or are we just going to say, you know what, time is going to take care of that, and time is going to be our best helper in this case? And also, manure spreading. How was I doing? Too fast, too slow, too much, too little? Leave it all in the comments down below. Come along for the journey with us as we work on making and building this regenerative farm from scratch. We're beginning farmers all over again.